Hello and welcome to the 215 Moto Unstoppable podcast. I'm your host, Gerald McColgan, and I'm all revved up and ready to go with another epic and inspiring episode. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and get ready to reignite your passion for power sports, resilience, and personal growth. Now let's go. Tonight's episode is called Ride Beyond Limits, the women who dominate the road and track. And we're here to celebrate the incredible women who not only ride motorcycles, but also break barriers, redefine norms, and inspire others to dream bigger. Now, before I dive in, let me remind everyone again of the 215 Moto ethos. This brand is not just about riding gear or apparel. It's about embodying the spirit of perseverance, growth, and possibility. It's about choosing to live your life as the hero of your story, no matter where you're starting from. And tonight we're shining a spotlight on a real hero of motorcycling, a woman who's proving every day that the road and the track belong to everyone. So it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the show, Pink Barbie.
Thank
Hello.
you. Hi.
How are you?
Wonderful. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Taking your time to come on the show.
So exciting. Listen, it's my pleasure to be here. Trust me.
Well, I know it was kind of last minute, so I greatly appreciate you taking the time and coming down and helping make this happen tonight. So why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Well,
I mean, I know everyone kind of knows you as Pink Barbie. So.
Right. So everyone, I guess that's what we call it, our road name.
Mm-hmm.
So road name's Pink Barbie on twos. So it actually came about because I wanted to be able to be identified as a female on the bike. Mm-hmm. Not that I like the color pink, as crazy as it sounds.
Right.
It's my least favorite color, probably. But I just wanted them to know that it was a female, that it was on a bike, not a guy. So that's where the name come from. And then obviously on twos, my group,
Great.
my homies. But my real name is Anna Velazquez. Wonderful mother of 5 children. 5 absolutely wonderful children that I have. And this is my little one, Nani.
Yeah, you have
My
your beautiful
last
daughter
one.
here with you tonight.
Thanks. And of course, hey, wherever I go, she goes.
That's great.
I want to say I've been riding, I think I started maybe when I was 9 years old. But I don't even know if that counts as riding, because I was kind of riding those little mopeds, the little scooters and stuff like that.
Hey, it definitely counts. That's where it all begins. Like for myself, I remember like mini bikes, the old-fashioned mini bikes. Just learning how to ride a mini bike.
As crazy as it sounds, it wasn't that I jumped on a bike because I wanted to ride. Mm-hmm. I needed it. I needed it to get to school. That was my method of transportation in the Dominican Republic. It was like the cheapest way to get from point A from point B. It was just perfect. I mean, you can get a bike for what? Well, back then.
Well, let's get into
bucks.
that. So you're originally from the Dominican Republic?
Yeah. So actually, I was born here in the United States in New York, from Washington Heights. But my parents actually shipped me to Dominican Republic because they wanted me to learn Spanish. Okay. I was maybe about 9, 8 years old. Mm-hmm. So I had to really adapt to a huge culture shock, to be honest. Right. I went from not knowing any Spanish whatsoever to here you are, deal with it. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to learn the language. It was tough, but yeah, that's how it all started, yeah. So I am Dominican, I guess.
So what were some of the things you were involved in while you were over there besides learning Spanish?
So my father, he started a business in Dominican Republic. Mm-hmm. He finally said, I'm leaving the States, I'm going to retire in my home, but I'm going to run my own business. He put up a shop of motorcycle parts. Okay. Because it's the main method of transportation in the Dominican Republic. It's the most common thing. So it turned into an empire today, believe it or not. He's probably one of the most popular authorized dealers that exists in the Dominican Republic right now.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great experience. I learned a lot from him. Mm-hmm. But did I get my riding passion from him? Absolutely not.
Right.
It was tough. Like I said, I hopped on a bike. I needed to get to school. He couldn't drive me. So that's how it came about.
Wow. So who was your biggest influence as a kid when you were growing up?
I want to say he was a very big influence on my life. It was tough love. He's very, how can I say? He's very sexist, to be honest. He's the type of man.
Kind of like that generation,
yes,
too.
Yes. So for him, even though I worked at the shop selling these parts, I knew a bike in and out. By the time it came to me riding my bike for passion, he didn't agree with it.
Okay.
So it was like we kind of like went our separate ways, and I'm like, that's kind of a little bit hypocritical. You raised me around bikes with this, passion about bikes, learning about bikes, how to fix a bike, but then you don't like it when I ride a
Yeah,
bike.
especially now if you were a young boy,
Yeah,
you would be encouraged 100%.
and that's the problem.
And
That was the problem.
It might be that, well, the generation thing, the cultural thing, and things are different now, right? Times have changed.
Absolutely, times
incredibly.
have changed. Definitely have.
So definitely, like, what were some of the obstacles and all as a young girl, growing up in the Dominican Republic, and how long were you there for until you moved back?
So I was there I want to say from when I was about 9 years old, and I think I came back right when I hit 18.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, okay, I'm an adult. I'm leaving. I'm ready to go back to the U.S. I learned a lot, though. I learned a lot working on bikes, working at the shop. I learned how to manage a business. Like I said, I learned the language, so opened up a lot of doors when I came back because I was, multilingual. And then the other part of it was, how can I explain this? It's like I was a female, but with male kind of direction, because he was the one that basically raised me. So I have a lot of male tendencies, but I'm a female. So it's kind of hard. I like to play pool. I like to ride a motorcycle, and these are not normal things in my culture. So it's not very well accepted. For Dominicans, it's more the woman stays home, she watches the kids, she cooks, she cleans. If she has a job, she goes to work and comes back home. That is it. That is life.
Right.
And it was a challenge, but here we are.
Right, and here we are just beginning, and you can already see how truly exceptional your story is. Your background, where you grew up, the culture, everything. And now to see what you have grown into now and the influence that you have on your kids, your daughter, and women in general who want to get out and ride. And that was kind of like where I wanted to go and like get involved in this podcast today, because it's just, these stories are just so exceptional as you're just breaking barriers and breaking norms and just kind of stepping out of that stereotype. And another thing too, and I remember like riding with you is, you have all your gear on. You know what I mean? Like you're presenting, you're well protected. You're not just going out there to try and look a certain way or.
Absolutely. That is the number one thing that I try to stay away from. Is not, yes, I like to look good, don't get me wrong. Who doesn't? But it's not about appearance for me when I'm riding.
Yeah,
The reason why I say it is when I walk out the door, I'm leaving my babies behind.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure that I come back for them because I'm all they got. So yes, I'm gonna, if I can bubble wrap myself when I go out, absolutely. But I also want to enjoy myself. I love the sport. It is a dangerous sport, but it's also a male-dominated sport.
Yes, for sure.
Hopefully, and I see a lot of changes and things shifting in the way that the generations are changing right now, and I'm so happy to see these young girls, 16, 14, 15 years old, out on the tracks, running with veterans out there. It's amazing. And I wish that I had the opportunities that they have now, back in my time. Right. The story probably would have been different.
Well, it's just, again, you're setting such a good example. You're so involved in the community. You're involved in the group. You're involved in when the group brings people together, doing the rides, everything like that. It's just making it such a positive experience. And again, you're opening the doors and leading the way for other women who are they're a little scared. They're nervous.
It's terrifying.
Right.
It truly
and,
is.
And not just that, on how they're going to be accepted too.
And not even only if they are accepted, it's also about how you're perceived.
Right.
Are you truly a writer, or are you just trying to look cute?
Mm-hmm.
That's the other purpose of it. You have to be very, very careful how you associate yourself with, with other male writers. It can be perceived like you're looking for something different, but really you're just trying to write.
What are some of the other challenges as a female writer in a predominantly male, dominated sport, especially now that you're out on the track as well? How has that been? Like, what kind of challenges have you faced there?
Wow. So the first time I actually went to the track, I went to, I think it was New York Safety Track.
Mm-hmm.
And I was invited to meet Angela, actually, Moto Girl GT.
Okay.
I saw what she was about. I had never been to a track. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. Thankfully, at the time, I was actually dating someone that actually helped me track the bike to New York and get through that process. But she literally grabbed me by the hand and put me on the track, and she literally pointed to each cone,
right.
And she said, just follow. And she made me feel so comfortable that I just kept coming back and back. And I thought that I was a good rider on the street. Boy, was I wrong. Right. I was so terribly wrong. Sure. I learned so much. And it's not only track riding, there's actually proper ways to street ride too. And she taught me so much, and I really appreciate her for taking me under her wing at that time, because it was scary to, pull into a track and all you see is a whole bunch of males, but you see that one female, she takes you under the wing, and it feels great.
And well, another thing that's incredible with women is the way you approach things. Sometimes guys go in way over their head, but you taking the time to start out slow, learn the steps, right? And just have respect for it, because right, when you show up and you see, if you see the advanced class out there, and these guys are running at the top speeds, and it's just, what we're always trying to do is remind people that there is a beginner class, and everyone started there, and then you just slowly build your skills, and once you enjoy it, you get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit faster. Like me, I always say I'm safer on the track than I am on the street.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I try and do as many track days as possible because of that. And I love it. Like, I love the track because it's repetition.
I love the camaraderie at the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Explain that to me too, because even with the women, because with the guys, and I may end up bashing men on this episode. You know what I'm saying? Because it does become like,
it's a fair game though.
It does become almost, everything becomes a competition.
It is.
And I tell you what, get a little bit older, you're a little bit wiser. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to prove anything. Like, when I go out on the track, it's because I love doing it. And I'm only trying to better myself. I'm not trying to be the fastest out there. I'm not trying to,
I feel like I hear you and everything you're saying, and it's like a repeat of everything that I've been doing for years at the track. So it's as crazy as it sounds, I still go to those beginner classes to the day, and I've been tracking for years now.
Well, and that's smart, because I tell you what, they'll say to me, like, when you go up there, they're like, don't you want to go up a class? And I'm like, no, I'm good, because I don't have to.
So I can definitely be in other groups, I can hang out in other groups, but I prefer not to. And it's not that I can't be fast, I can't go fast, I don't want to. It's literally a choice. I want to say for the first 4 years that I tracked, I was literally a turtle. Literally a turtle for the first 4 years, and I stayed in the same group, the E group. Forgot. Is it the E group? E1, yeah, the E1.
That was with Evolve? That was with Evolve GT?
Yes, with Evolve. Listen, I love Evolve. I've tried other track organizations, and they have not worked out for me at all. But we'll get into that. What was I saying? Now I even lost that track of that. Bring me back in.
I know even when I go out there in intermediate or whatever, and I like working with the instructors. So I go with the Riders Club down there in New Jersey Motorsports.
So you like the
Park.
Riders Club?
Yes.
I've experienced them once, and it was actually my first track experience. And I don't know if it was the actual group that I was in, because it was like everyone just wanted like to be on the track, but I was more focused on learning in the classroom. That for me, it just didn't work out. I'm more of a book kind of learner. I need to see things and then do. And some people are doers first, and then they figure things out as they go. I gotta learn first, so I'm backwards. So I still go to my sessions. I don't care.
And that's good because then you get the most out of it.
Not only that, every track is different. You gotta learn.
For sure.
You gotta learn the little quirks of every track, and even if little bumps on a little ripple that tells you, hey, this is where you turn. It's little hints and tricks.
I love how, when you start the day, you get through it, and you try and go a little faster. You try and execute, try to brake a little bit later. And then that's what I get in my mind. I just try and go a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. And then once I realize I'm getting exhausted, and then I'll say, now it's time to pull off. Because I know it's always it's on the last lap or the last session where things have a tendency to go wrong.
Right.
And again, like what we were saying is I'm not out there to race, I'm just out there to have fun.
Yeah. And like I said, I turtled it probably 4 years, and I don't know what the heck came over me the 1 year. Actually, no, I do know. It makes a huge difference when you do not rely on your street bike as also your track bike. Because that was my main concern, was probably to crash my bike on the track, because then I'm like, then I can't go on rides for the rest of the season or until I'm back up and running.
Right.
But this 1 year, I actually had the opportunity to actually borrow a bike for the track, and I went crazy.
Right.
I just went crazy after that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I really do like the speed down.
That would be one of my dreams, is to have a track only bike. Because even when I lost the front end and I dropped the bike, I pick it up and it's like, it's just the fairings are just plastic, but then the bars and the clipping, I was like,
it's mayhem. It's literally mayhem. It's like, and then maybe you are probably good with your hands and you can probably put things together, but it's like me, I gotta get help.
Right.
Like I really get help. And if not, I'm flipping pages, trying to figure things out on my own. It's difficult, so I'm scared to be down for X amount of time, because I feel like riding for me is therapeutic.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like, I rather need my therapy sessions than just go fast on the track. So I'll chill and just go with the flow. But I learned a lot.
Now, through your riding history, like what was your first bike? I know you're riding a GSXR, right? Which one?
I am a Gixxer lover for life. Okay. My first one was a 600, 2008. Literally walked into the shop.
Those are the best years. They're in such demand right now.
I love that bike, but I have to say it was really heavy. For me, at least for me as a female, it was truly a clunk of metal. When I upgraded to the 750, that's a 2014, it is a feather, and I flip it around like nothing. And I start to think about it now, if I can turn back time, I probably would have started on a real small bike, because I would have gotten a lot more confidence. I was very scared for so many years because that bike was so heavy, and one of my biggest fears was to drop the bike and not be able to pick it up. Right. Because I don't have the strength for it.
And that's what you're riding now, a 14?
Yeah, 14.
That's what I have. That's
really?
the bike I have, yeah.
I love it.
I love it too, because they haven't changed it for years. It's still just such a great platform.
I love it.
It's so reliable.
It is.
And not everyone, but a lot of people are on me. They're like, when you get a new bike? I'm like, I don't really need it.
I think like all the other ones that are now, it's like they have so many electrical stuff into it that even if I'd rather work on the bike myself, if I can save some money too, then if it's like, the BMWs, if a code goes on, we got to take it to the dealer.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I have friends with Ducatis and always in and out of the shop, and they have to bring it to the shop because of the programming, the software.
Exactly.
And knock on wood, there's times like my bike will sit in the garage as we get this cold spell, and then all of a sudden we get a warm day. I go down there, fires right up. and I'm out riding.
I can last the whole season without turning on the bike. Starts getting a little on, turns right back on.
Like I said, not gonna
Turns right back on. But I've heard people that they got to put them on trickle chargers and stuff like that. I haven't had the need yet.
Right, and I was lucky that I T-boned a car on my bike, and honestly, it probably should have been totaled, but they fixed it. So it kind of had like a second life given to it.
Oh, wow.
So it practically became a brand new bike again. And now that I would love to ride more on the track, but I try and do both with it now. And then of course I do different customizations, which are a little bit more geared towards the track. So I'm like, I love this bike, man.
And the other thing is that you get so comfortable with that bike
Right.
that it's kind of hard to even have a track bike because you get so comfortable on that one bike that you kind of like, oh, I want that one because I'm used to riding this one more.
Have you had the opportunity to get on other bikes? Like,
I've had the opportunity to have both at once, which was the 600 and the
Right.
750 at one time, and the 600 just sat there after the other one because it was so light. And
I
was
know, sport bikes aren't, they're not designed to be comfortable. But I tell you what, man, I've ridden so many different motorcycles, having sold them all, and there's nothing more comfortable than my, 2014 GSXR 750. It's just, and then people get on, like dudes that have
crazy when I
R6s.
say that you sit differently
Right.
on it. Like even if I was to sit like on a Yamaha, you sit different. I don't know what it is about the Gixxer. It just feels right when I sit on it.
And I'll say this to friends, and they'll get on it, and they're like, "Holy shit, you're right." Like, and then one of my friends has, he has an R6, and honestly, they're the most comfortable, uncomfortable setups. I mean, I know they're
I
great.
agree.
People love them for the track, and like, I know they're not designed to be comfortable, but I don't know, man. I get pretty, and
I get comfortable in mine. I ride for
you do long
7,
rides
8
too.
hours, 12 hours. I go to Delaware, I go to New Jersey, I go to New York,
Right.
Maryland. I have no border. Like my bike is to really max out those miles. I love it.
People will say, "How do you rode that up to the Poconos?" I'm like, "Shit, I'm blessed."
Yeah.
Like that wasn't even a question. I can, just go right up the Northeast Extension, and I don't feel fatigued at all.
I love the scenic routes. That's just me.
sure.
I just love the scenic routes. They just hit different.
Right. I know. I like the scenic routes when we're going, but then when it's time to go home, it's like, get me to the highway.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no. The
where's
ride
the
home is always
turnpike?
where's the
Yeah.
turn because your body's exhausted.
Oh, that's fun. So again, like you being involved with the group on twos, and they're primarily out of New Jersey.
Right.
We're very fortunate to have so many incredible groups around here.
We do.
But even as a woman, what does that mean being involved with a group like that? Because that's another great group because it's everybody.
It is.
And that's what I
everybody.
love. It's not just that, hardcore sport bike rider.
I
No, it's
like
just such
to
a group.
think of our group as family oriented. We're a family. We truly are a family. Because we welcome everyone. We involve the husbands, we involve the wives, we involve the kids. Because think about it, when you go out for a ride, you spend 8-10 hours riding just
Right.
with no communication because you're not going to be on your phone while you're riding. So it's like you tend to have these people as family. It's either you bring your spouse so they are involved with you in your passion. In my case, I got to bring my little one everywhere I go, right? So it's like I'm not going to spend 10 hours riding by myself. I'm going to bring her along with me. So that's why we
great.
say it's family oriented.
That's great.
Now
I've been fortunate enough that, I knew Eric and I got to meet a lot of the people in the group. And then as On Twos got more involved with, Titanium and the Bike Experience USA.
Right.
And I got a little bit more involved with the group then. And I love, I'll go over anytime. I was on a few rides with the group, but I love riding with them guys. And the people they're awesome.
And
It's
our
not
number one
clicky.
thing,
Nobody's
it's
judging.
Safety. It's safety.
Yeah,
We
for sure.
just all want to get back home. We want to enjoy, have a good time, but we always think about our families. We got to get back home too.
And then Donnie too, right?
Oh, he's a love.
Right.
Yeah, we have a love-hate relationship. Donnie and
Yeah.
I. We just like to make believe like we're mad at each other and argue, but we're really not mad.
Right. It's just great, man, having that bond and that support with.
Oh yeah, the guys are great. I really have. So I met Eric the craziest way. So I want to say this was maybe like 2010 around or sometime 12, I don't know. I was really trying to find a home for riding because I was tired of riding by myself.
Right.
I thought I knew how to ride back then. And I found this, I was looking on Facebook and I found this motorcycle club. I had no idea what a motorcycle club was. I didn't know how serious motorcycle clubs are taken here in the US. I had no idea that that's the way things were. But they turned me away.
Right.
They said, you can't because you're a female.
Oh my God.
You have no idea the tantrum that I threw on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was so upset. I was so angry. And just out of nowhere,
That doesn't. Yeah. That's
it was
hard to
horrible.
believe.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. And someone read, I guess, one of my rants and said, I know someone that they welcome anyone. It's a Christian sports bike group. And I was like, oh, Christian? I don't know, because that seems like, maybe they want to push you into a certain faith or whatever. Yes, I am a believer, but do I really have like a strength? Am I Pentecostal? Am I Catholic? Probably not. I don't go to church every day, but yes, I do believe in God. Like, maybe I just don't fit in. But John DeShore from the CSBA, he reached out and he's like, this man is like 7 feet tall and like this. And I looked so tiny in front of him. He's like, yeah, just come along for the ride. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I know how to ride. They were doing a recon for the ride.
Right.
Boy, was I wrong. My body was so sore and I was like this the whole ride, clenched. I didn't know how to take a turn.
Right.
I didn't know how to body position. I knew nothing. So I started getting out more and more and more, and I kept looking for groups to hang with, and I saw a post about it was a couples ride to Atlantic City, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot of fun, but I was single.
Right.
So I'm like, what am I gonna do? But I reached out and was like, is it okay if I go if I'm single? Sure, come along. And I met Eric then, and since then, we just clicked. We literally just clicked. He invited me over to the group. And it's like we extended on twos from New Jersey to the Lehigh Valley. It was just a rebirth that we had. And then from there, we just expanded even further to Delaware, to Maryland, New York, and started collaborating with other groups. I am so grateful of that motorcycle club turning me away because I was a female, because I found a better home.
Yeah, and you're better. That's so hard to believe, and they're not people you want to be around anyway.
Yeah, and I have never been. I'm still to the day. I still don't understand the whole concept of some motorcycle clubs and having the females with the whole property of. I try to understand it, but I can't. I really can't. I don't know. But
it's kind of it's kind of like caveman days anymore.
Exactly.
And I think it's just so in the past now.
I don't even know if the motorcycle clubs are like that anymore. I don't know. But this was like a long time ago. I hope things have evolved since then. I don't think that group's around anymore. I wonder why.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just that's so crazy. But again, you being involved in such a great group, such good people, both men, women, cruisers, sport bikes. There's people who enjoy adventure bikes. I mean, I forget her name, but the one lady, I see her at every event. Just so many. I think she's just again, just and then that just so positive.
Yes. There's no age groups either. It's like we have no denomination. We don't care who you are, what you wear, what you ride. Just come, let's have a good time.
For sure. And that's what we need more of in the motorcycle community to help it grow and evolve and just to have to be able to interact with a good, like I said, like you seem so positive. Like, where did you get your positivity from? What do you think?
I think the hard times that I've gone through life it just happens that you got to make the positive out of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you start dwelling on all the negative, you're just going to be in a rut the whole time.
Right.
And I just feel like positive attracts positivity.
Yeah, it does.
So even if it's negative, goodbye.
I don't know. Yeah. Again, I know I don't know how much you ever listen to what I talk about, but it is the truth. You know, we what you give out is what you attract.
Yeah.
And we try and get people to understand that.
Even like, for example, like I say this, and I believe this so hard. Like, if you smile when you're talking on the phone, they can see that smile. They really can. If you're like all grumpy and with a sad face and all your eyebrows are crossed, they can sense that on the other line. So if you know, you smile, it goes a long way.
It really does. And again, you're setting that example. Another thing I get involved in a lot is how important it is to be the very best you can be, so that you're in the position to give to your family, to take care of your family. And I'm always trying to get people, a lot of people they're like, oh, it's all about my kids, and they let themselves fall, or they don't take care of themselves as much, and they don't kind of understand, like, you're setting a poor example. Take care of yourself. Be that, like a drowning person can't save another drowning person.
So the way that I see it is, if there's no me, I can't help them.
Yeah.
So I got to help myself first.
It's as simple as when we're taking a flight, and what is the, what do they say? Put your mask on first,
and then
you
help someone else.
You can't help anyone else if you're
exactly right. You know what? That's a great way to
it's
see
the truth. So I'm always trying to say, like, how the example that you set, and again, even more so when you're a woman, a mom, because you're looking at the future for
right.
Like, you want nobody to ever deny your daughter. I know, like, you can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine that.
So there's a lot of things that, believe it or not, so I had my 2 biological boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't planning on having any more kids, and then I have bonus child came along, and then I had 2 adopted ones that I raised as well, all girls. It's like 2015 hit, and I have a full female household, and now I start thinking with a female perspective, because remember, my dad raised me, so I have a good tendency of a man mindset, even though I am female. So then I started thinking of things differently because of her, because I want to open up doors for her. Like, for example, I'm not about racing. I don't see myself as a racer. It's not something that I would enjoy doing. But believe it or not, I pushed myself to get a race license.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I did it was because I wanted to set the example for other females that are, wanting to do it and thinking about doing it, but just are scared to do it. And I just wanted to prove that if I did it, you can do it too.
Yeah,
that's the only reason why I did it. Do I have a passion for racing? Absolutely not.
Right.
Do I like going fast? Yeah. But do I like to be on a clock? No.
Yeah. Sometimes with, especially with racing, it's again, like you're racing yourself, right? Like, you know what your max is. You know where your comfort zone is. You always want to be just barely outside that comfort zone, to know that you're always pushing and moving forward. But at the same time, it's like you don't want to go over that line. So if you're going to do so many laps and you know what your time is per lap, you try and hit it or beat it, and try not to worry so much about.
I told you that I've never timed a lap ever in my life, and I can't tell you how fast I've gone on a track. I never look at a speedometer. Ever. Yeah. I listen to my bike. I literally listen to my bike. When I feel my bike scream, or when I don't feel comfortable that I can see far enough, that's it. That's when I start pulling back. Yeah. I can't tell you how fast I've gone in my life.
I had one of the coaches, because again, I'm using my street bike on the track. I cover up, so I don't see how fast I'm going. So I'm not worrying about my speed. I'm not worrying about, I'm going to try and get, like, on the straightaway at New Jersey, like, I'm going to try and get, 138. Like, I shouldn't worry about that. I should just worry about executing it correctly. I look at my braking points, stay on the throttle hard, and it helped, like not worrying about my speed,
Yeah.
not going into the turn, you know, always the turn right after the straightaways, you know, where I'm trying to get to my braking point, but I'm focused on how fast I'm going. When I should just be, I know I should be open.
You should be more
throttle.
focused on the skills.
And then if I see where my speed is, I'm carrying speed going into a turn one, that'll mess with my head because I'm like, oh, am I going too fast?
I can't multitask to save my life. I'm telling you right now. There's too much going on in these hands as I'm taking that turn. I do not want to look down the speedometer. I just want to make it through the turn and be safe.
I talk to myself going around the track.
So I am so weird. I need music for everything. I need to listen to music while I'm on the track. That's like my ego boost. You know how you have like that pump up song?
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta be careful listening to music when I'm just riding in general.
Oh, I have to listen to music riding. Do you like not play music while you ride?
I do, but I'm trying to tone it back a little bit. Only because
that would be horrible. Me listening to all my thoughts that whole time.
You know, I'm always talking about being as safe as possible, and when I'm preaching about these things, and then I'll I get on 95 and I just want to light it up, or if I'm having a bad day, and it's but then I'm like, I don't want people doing that, especially people. I don't want people to ride over their heads. Because it's every year it gets scarier and scarier with the people. I hate to say with the people we lose.
It's not only about like you watching your own riding skills. You also have to be a defensive rider.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of nuts out there. You have to protect yourself. You need to understand that. Believe it or not, you are the vehicle.
Yeah.
You are the vehicle. In a car, you have a whole bunch of armor around you. But on a bike, you are the vehicle yourself.
I had a whole soundtrack set up where I would the city becomes my racetrack. But I don't.
So,
trying to set a better example.
I think everything can be done moderately. I'm a hardcore believer of that. It's the same thing like if you enjoy having a drink, there's nothing wrong with you having a drink. Just don't exceed it, right? You're going to play your music while you ride? Play it, that's fine. But just make sure that you can hear everything else that's around you too. So a lot of people also lose themselves about making their bikes really loud because they want to be heard when they're coming. You're making yourself deaf in the process. Like, let's be honest.
No.
And can you really hear what's going on around you?
You have a full exhaust on yours? Like you still have the cat on it?
I have.
Is it quiet?
No, I have my cat. Yes, I do have my cat on mine.
Right. Because when they made those bikes,
I think I have like the two brothers slip-on or something like that.
But they are so quiet.
They are very quiet.
I start my bike and my friends are like, dude, you start it yet? I'm like, stop.
So it's funny because Eric would get so pissed at me. He's like, because I would just sneak up. He's like, you just kind of and I'm like, where are you? You just sneak up on me and you gotta be heard. He pushed me for so many years to get a louder bike, and I'm like, I just don't need it. I'm fine. I mean, I never had any issues. I was fine. I mean, I did end up getting a little bit louder, but it's just because it came with the bike, not because
The thing with our bike is they have the cat welded, so you have to get it cut and then to get the extension thing. So I just I don't need my bike
straight pipe it, right?
Right, like I don't need it to be faster. I just need my bike to be louder, only for that safety aspect.
Right.
Because our bikes are my bike is crazy quiet. For it, I have a slip-on and all, but it's just still quiet. It's funny when I'm riding and I can hear my friends behind me, I can hear their exhaust. And I'm like,
and isn't it crazy how the sound of a bike is like a DNA?
Yeah.
Like who's pulling up when you hear the bike.
Yeah, or I know they're right on my ass because I can hear them. And it's just, but again, when they make them just too quiet.
And I agree. The stock one, yes, it is very, very quiet. But honestly, I don't think that we need that whole loudness either. It's crazy.
And you get in with some of the race exhaust now.
I do not know what a race exhaust is. And the only reason why I say it is because I love my stock bike. I do not put anything in it other than maybe change the levers because it's more comfortable. Maybe change my what do you call it, the rear sets,
Right.
just because I'm
For
so
the
tall.
adjustability,
Yeah. But other than that, I honestly I don't touch it. I just leave it stock. I guess people like to go faster. They like to mess around with it and change things around. I like to leave it the way it is. I feel like if it was built that way, it was for a purpose.
Yeah, you're right. And sometimes people, when they start messing with things, like a lot of people, they'll change the exhaust, but then they won't have it retuned. And they don't realize that they just messed up the whole, whatever, gas to air ratio or something like that. Like
Everything has an
is-
algorithm. Like everything
sure.
is an equation. Like everything is a math equation on a bike. Literally, even
Yeah.
down to the system where you're shifting, you have those RPMs in between. Like everything is meant for a reason. I made the big mistake one time to listen. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. They told me to change the sprocket, make it, I guess, bigger to have like a quicker launch or something like that. That was the biggest mistake I ever had. I think that's why I stopped riding the 600.
Right.
Yes, it would leave quickly, but it just didn't seem right. After that, it was like, yeah, it would launch quick, but then revving up to the rest of the gears, it was just mayhem. And the odometer never kind of matched either. It was just crazy.
That all gets into a science.
Yeah,
And
it
sometimes,
is.
like you're saying, for what we enjoy, like we don't have to get crazy with the bikes. Like the bikes are already amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I had people, you know, you got to get it flashed. You got to get the
Tuned.
monitors off
Yeah.
or the restrictions off, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Mine is literally stock.
But then meanwhile, I still have the same bike, and they're like 3 bikes later because they blew motors on other ones.
That's the other thing, yeah. So
or crashed them.
The 2008 lasted me, I want to say, I think I got rid of it maybe probably 2019.
Okay.
So it lasted me a good 12 years.
Yeah.
And I sold it.
That bike was in demand. They're still in demand.
And I gave it away, but the bike was in great condition.
Mm-hmm.
It was in just in great condition. They last so long. They're great bikes. I
Yeah.
really recommend the Gixxer. Gixxer fan. I don't care what people say.
Right. And then just keeping with the routine maintenance, you know, just always.
That's important as well.
Right. Like we were in the last podcast, we were talking about, you know, what to do in the off season. Like take care of your bike. You know, if you're not going to do the work yourself, bring it over to the dealership, you know, go through all the routine maintenance, where, you know, whatever should be done to it, whatever amount of miles you have on it, you know, it's important. And if you do that maintenance, the bikes will last for years.
Right.
That's what I love about it.
And you know what? That's another thing that I learned from Angela too. She had these great workshop sessions at the track just for females, where she taught you how to, you know, check your chain. She taught you how to, you know, change your oil. It was amazing. It's amazing the camaraderie that you have at the track.
Right.
She had all these great little sessions, and we need to
And
bring
when
those
you
back,
say
Angela.
that means so much more than just working on the bike. It means that
Yes.
what you are capable of. Like most of us aren't even tapping into our full potential. And we are capable of so much more. And that's why, you know, I'm always saying, like, work harder,
Listen,
learn
I'm
more.
a DIY.
Learn more.
I love, you know, getting my hands dirty. I really do. And I think probably the best investment that I ever made was to buy that handbook
Right, okay.
for the Gixxer, and it goes, I guess, for certain years. It's one of those that where you can service your own bike.
Yeah.
And I've messed up a lot of times, but it's great when you do your own work. Not only that, you trust yourself more on the bike. It gives you a lot more
absolutely.
confidence. You know that your brakes are gonna work because you put them in right.
Yeah, you're right. Even with if I have to have someone work on my bike, oh hell no, I'm not going to just let anyone work on it.
Exactly.
Because, you know, I've been riding a long time, and there's been times where I go to pick my bike up and they either didn't do what they said they were going to do, they didn't, you know, torque anything, or they didn't even check anything. So if you were to take that bike out up to speed, like you go back to the dealership and, you know, you're upset, but you're like, dude, you could have killed me.
Right.
Like you did not.
So this one time, someone did me a solid and changed my levers. There's like this little pin that goes, I guess, in a slip in the lever. Well, that person never put that pin in. I was in the middle of the highway. The bike just shut down and revved down. And I was like, oh my gosh, what now? There's cars flying behind me. I literally had to quickly, pull off into the shoulder. And I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. It was that little pin that was missing on the lever. That could have been my life.
Yeah.
Something so simple. And since then I was like, I don't trust people.
I worked in dealerships and I've seen some horror stories of customers bringing their bikes back where things weren't done correctly.
And you know the other part of it too? Female face. It's like you have something in your forehead that says sucker.
Yeah.
Take
again,
advantage.
Here's something else I'd like to tap into. So, as a woman in riding motorcycles, like for the most part, how are you feel like you're received still today? I know the story of you not being accepted into a riding group is just crazy to me, but I do know that even today in dealerships, man, like dealerships still have that bad habit of, if a woman walks in, like, oh, they don't know anything.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is a thing. Today it is a thing. So I'm gonna give you a perfect example. When I was shopping for the 2014, I actually used Eric as like a middleman because I was a female. And I knew that if I presented myself as the female that was buying the bike, I was gonna get got. So Eric pretended the bike was for him and that I was just picking it up. And I got the hell of a deal because it was Eric's face instead of mine, as crazy as it sounds. If it would have been for me, it would have been $2,000 more.
Yeah. And again, it's
as
just
horrible as it sounds.
As things are changing and things are slowly evolving, I do believe that hopefully they are getting better, but there's just still that stigma of the way women get. I mean, right down it. I think the amount of women that are now riding and that own motorcycles, it increases every year.
Absolutely.
And it just seems like the dealerships are so slow to pick up on that, whether it's carrying gear the correct.
That is the number one issue that we have as female riders. The sport is still not up to the times for what we need as riders. You can't find really good female gear that's out there that looks like a female. It's like you have to fit into male clothing, and that's I'm not saying that you're trying to look cute while you ride, but still you want to feel like you're a female. You want to wear female fitted clothing, and having good protective gear that looks good is a problem right now. You go to a store, you're gonna have to wear male stuff, and you have like a whole store full of gear, and you have like this tiny little section, a little corner with just a few jackets, a few pants for females. That's it. They all have flowers, of course.
Yeah, and it's all right. I know you're pink Barbie, but right away it's like pink.
Well, and like I said, it's not my favorite color, but that's the only way that people can identify that I'm a female at the time.
I've like I said, I've been in the dealerships, and I've had times, at one point I was a general manager, where I heard the guy selling helmets, pull down a helmet because it had pink on it, and the woman say to him, "By the way, I hate pink." And he was like he just, again, that assumption, assuming.
Yes, they assume. It's like, I don't know who makes this gear, but whoever does, we don't all like flowers.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, if we're on a bike, we probably don't like flowers on our bikes.
Even with, now, I think, are you still wearing a showy helmet?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love my showy. It's probably the best one that fits.
I sold showy for years, and it's the only helmet that I wear. But then for a while there, I saw them coming out with flowers and stuff like that. And I'm like, this. But
Yep. That's one thing that hopefully the industry improves on. We definitely need female gear out there.
And sometimes it gets to that level, and who's making the decisions, right? It's like anything else. Is a woman making that decision?
And I think that's the problem. That I don't think that they consult actual females.
Right.
when they launch these things. I think that they need to be more inclusive in that process of including women, because we know what we want.
Right. I know for a while there with the tracksuits, so hard.
I had to have my tracksuit ordered. I think it was from Pakistan.
Yeah.
I took a chance. Because that's the other thing. What you do find as a female, it's not meant for every female shape. I'm a thick girl, you know, I'm Hispanic, I got curves.
Right.
I'm not gonna fit in a Euro 38.
Right.
And if not, they're too tight on the top. Then you
Right.
gotta add the padding from the back, pushes you on the front. It's challenging, it truly is challenging. It's tough. And I really hope that they get up with the times.
They get into that one size fits all type thing.
Exactly.
So, like someone.
And it compromises safety, believe it or not.
Yeah,
It really does.
For sure. And now, luckily, because the world is getting much smaller, like you can get a custom suit. It's really not that expensive anymore, and it's all quality materials, leather. But it's important to find someone that knows how to measure correctly. You know, because if you're not there,
That is important.
right now we do have some connections here who deal directly with the manufacturers who know how to measure. Because I mean, I'm the same way. Long torso, you know, short legs, long torso, and wide. Like I'm not that European alpine stars.
Right.
For the longest time, when I would wear their suits, I couldn't get the zipper all the way down. So it's crazy. But I would come off the track and I'm like trying to use the bathroom, but because they're just not designed to that. And honestly, I went to Cortec, and to this day, I still enjoy the Cortex suits.
I shifted to
then-
Cortec too.
Now
for the same reason.
Cortec also does their women's suits, but Cortec to me was a little bit more geared towards us, like Americans, and not that 6 foot, super thin, skinny, tall European cuts. Because even with my big thing is with my legs and my calves. I can't get the zippers.
I got fat calves. Like I really have wide calves. You can't fit those into those European
Right.
suits. You
So
just can't.
For the
And
longest
that
time,
whole,
like trying
mowing the lawn to break in the suit, that's not gonna happen with
Yeah.
me.
For sure. Oh God! But now going back to helmets, because helmets are always a big thing for everybody, not just women in general. But having sold helmets for years and trying to get people to understand the difference between a $99 helmet and a $1,200 helmet now.
Yeah, they've gotten pricey.
But even for you, like what was it that brought you to a Shoei, to a premium helmet like
So my first helmet was actually a Scorpion, and it was because they literally gave it to me for free with the bike. But it was kind of like putting pressure, on the crown of my head, and and it was giving me a lot of headaches when I would ride. It was kind of a miserable ride. It wasn't comfortable. So I started testing out, just putting them on at the stores, see how it felt, and I took the chance on a Shoei just because I saw the way that the shape of the head was, and I was like, that kind of looks like my shape of the head. And I really didn't think that helmets actually they come different.
Yeah.
So different brands some come a little bit more elongated than the other ones. Other ones are a little bit more rounder. And Shoei just fits for me, for my head. I have a tiny little head, but I have my crown, is where everything sits. So for me, that one works.
Right.
And it works in that specific size. Anything other than that will give me a migraine, believe it or not.
Yeah, for sure. And then also with Shoei is you can switch out padding. You can fix those spots,
Right,
those hot spots,
right.
by changing the thickness of some of the padding. But again,
And the weight is perfect. It's not
Yeah.
too heavy. That's the other thing, that some helmets are out there. They're just too heavy. You think of being on that crotch rocket for so long and your neck trying to pick it up and fighting the wind. Sometimes it's heavy. It's weight that you're putting. So to me, everything is about having the less weight that I can on top of me, so it's a more comfortable ride as well.
and the ventilation and the aerodynamics. If it's
I like quietness too.
Yeah.
I can't do a loud helmet. I don't
But
like loud helmets.
For a woman to go into a dealership and try to buy a helmet, it's difficult, but it's very important. Hopefully they're doing their job at the dealership to really understand what type of riding you're doing. If you're on a sport bike, it's very important which helmet, the aerodynamics.
Honestly, like, I think that as a female, when you walk into a dealership, if you don't ask the right questions, you're gonna be lost. Because they're just gonna assume that you're gonna ride just like a guy, and it's a whole different type of ride. We think so different from male perspectives when we ride. We're more cautious, we're more calculative. A lot of us really don't enjoy the speed. Not the speed. We enjoy the speed, but we don't pay attention to the numbers, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not about who's in front either. For us, it's making sure that we're all still together when we get there. Like, we want to get there together, we leave together, we get there together. So it's kind of different. Like, I noticed that when I'm riding with the girls, it's a lot different when I ride with the guys. The guys, it's like, I'll see you when you get there.
I always I love when we have the meetings before a ride. Like, this is
gonna
not
be
a
chill
race.
ride.
This is not a race. Let's all stick together. And as soon as you get on the highway, it's
That's
like,
it.
boom,
Everybody's
boom, boom,
gone.
boom.
Everybody's
Right.
gone. Everybody's
Oh,
gone.
no. And again, I've
Yeah,
been the offender of that too. But now, honestly, with group rides, I've seen some bad shit happen, and I enjoy being able to meet up with people and hang out and talk and see what everyone's riding and interact with people. But then I like either being all the way at the front, or then I'm just gonna lag way in the back and just kind of, like you said, like, I'll just get there when everyone else does.
I honestly, like, when I'm doing those group rides, I'm always volunteering to be the tail. I love being in the back because I like making sure that everybody stays together. So I want to make sure that nobody's behind. I know I'm going to be the slowest, so I might as well stay in the back.
Right, but that's why, right, like, a lot of times in group rides, and this is for people, because you got to admit, there are a lot of people that they shy away from group rides, and they miss out on that sense of community and camaraderie and being together with other, people with like interests. But a lot of times in group rides, if they're doing it right, they'll put the slower people up front.
That's exactly what
right.
we do.
And
the
then,
less experienced,
then
the
keep
slower
everyone
people always
together, and we're all meant to ride together.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but usually when stuff goes bad, it's just
a trickle
because
effect.
somebody was doing something.
Exactly.
Don't wheelie in the middle of the pack.
Never do that.
Speeding, like,
Listen,
not
if
staggering.
someone
Like,
ever wheelies
Yeah.
in front of me, I break away and I go home.
Yeah.
I don't do it. You know why? Because you might feel confident in yourself to pick up that wheel, but I don't feel confident in you picking up that wheel, and I'm right behind you. And whatever happens to you, it's going to trickle down into me because I'm right next to you. People don't realize that it's a domino effect, and you're going to take out a few people behind you.
When I see with the braking, it's like brake all the time.
When you see all those little red lights go on at once, you got to be alert. You know something's coming. You got to pay attention because it's coming hot.
I like seeing everyone in front of me. For sure. But as a rider, who were some of your kind of influences and role models? Who kind of helped you along the way in developing your skills? And
so I want to say that John LaShore from the CSBA, he's passed away now, but he definitely was my guy. He was the one that got me into proper riding, learning how to take a turn. I have this one girlfriend named Kat that I met her on that ride too, and she literally told me, you ride like shit. She knew nothing of me. Like, you literally ride like shit. I really didn't understand what she was saying, but I was really crossed up body-wise. Like, if instead of going this way, I was going this way. I was fighting the bike in the opposite direction, and they helped me. They helped me get into the right path. But then once I hit the track, that's when it really made a difference. that's when I truly, sincerely learned. And it was Angela the one that taught me.
Yeah, good.
Angela really taught me everything that I know about body positioning and about how to take a turn.
I think, again, you know, that's what's wonderful having you here and talking about, you know, the women and riding and the community. And I think you guys tend to look out for one another a little bit more. And because I don't, like, sometimes when we're out riding and especially with the group, how often I'll see people riding, and they've been riding for a while, and I'll see their elbows are locked, and their wrists are down, and I'm thinking,
if you're feeling pain in your wrist and pain in your shoulders, you're not positioned right.
And I want to say, like, dude, bend your elbows a little bit, man.
Like, loosen up.
Or if we're doing a longer ride and you see people are like shaking their arms and then they go right back to that. Like,
and they don't realize it's literally you gotta be loose.
Right.
You're not fighting the bike. You gotta literally just let it go. Be nice with it. Be gentle. Just literally place your hands on top.
Squeezing the grip
You don't
so
have to
tight.
go crazy. Yeah, people go like this. You know, if your body hurts in your shoulders and your wrist, you're definitely not riding
I
wrong.
see a lot of the younger people doing that.
Yeah.
I remember I was riding next to a guy and I think he had like a bunny thing over his helmet, and he just kept his arm straight and his wrist. And I'm like, he was making me feel uncomfortable.
And they don't realize that if something was to happen, that wrist is gone because it's so locked up in such a way that it's gonna be gone. It's gonna snap. You have a better chance of being loose.
And I mean, I'm always talking about track days, and then here you are again, like the importance of a track day and what we learn, and letting people know, man, like the season's just right around the corner.
It is.
You know, I know that's coming up quick. I haven't even gotten my membership yet. It just comes so quickly.
It does. It's taking a bat of an eye. That's it.
And that's why it's important to like get the bike in order, get the bike in shape. You know, I was talking about, you know, make sure your gear's in order. If you want to start.
What else I like to do every once in a while, polish up. I like to take the state safety courses.
Okay.
I don't feel like if I get enough of them. I always feel like if I learn something new, and what you learn there, and you pair it up with the track, it's like you're set up for success.
Right.
You really are.
You see how women are different, of course, than men in so many ways, and it's just a lot of good things that the way you approach things, respect things, you know, learn about things.
I think that's one of the things that differentiates us from males, is that we actually respect the throttle.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I can ride a 1000 just like I ride a 300 with no problem. But it's because I have that respect for the throttle. I know when I need to chill.
Yeah, and again, when you're selling motorcycles and you hear people say, I can ride a 600 but I can't ride 1000, in my mind I'm like, why not? Because you're the one that controls the throttle.
Exactly.
And they just put that in their head.
They're
but
like,
then
the first thing that comes to them, oh no, I'm a nut. I'm crazy on the bike. I can't have a 1000. Well, then you shouldn't be on a bike to begin with.
we used to, again, having worked in a dealership, the amount of times people come in, they start looking at bikes, and they'll say, oh man, I'll die on that. And I'm like, please don't get it then.
Exactly, don't buy it. Why are you going to buy your death sentence?
I know, but again, you control the bike, right? Like you control the throttle, and if you have respect for it.
Yep.
If you're, depending on what kind of riding you're doing, like if you're on a
ride, respect the throttle.
For sure.
That's the key points of everything. You can never try to match someone else's skills.
No, because it's like everything else, right? Like
ever.
Someone's always going to be fast.
I love going out with the girls, just the girls only.
Yeah. Well, you guys have those rides, right?
Yeah, we do like our all female rides, and I love taking out the girls because we take our time. We don't rush for everything. We're always going to be late. Doesn't matter. We'll get there when we get there. And the way that we ride is different. So we are nurturers by default. It's like we have kids, you know, we take care of each other. So it's like you got mom, you got dad, you got auntie. When you're riding on a female group ride, it's the same thing.
Right.
You're riding with your family. It's not any different. The girls are so strong when they ride together. And I feel that that's different from when the guys ride. I feel like when the guys ride, it's more of a every man for themselves.
Yeah, it's like a macho thing.
Yes.
And
It's like,
it's
I beat you. We don't really pay attention to any of that. We literally ride formation the whole time. We enjoy everything. We get to a stop sign, and if we have time, you know, and there's no cars behind us, we take a selfie. That's how much time we have on our rides.
and that's
We
how
enjoy
it's
it.
supposed to be.
Right.
And like being on, like you were saying, you know, even up here around the New Hope area, there's so many nice
Oh,
roads
there's
to ride.
beautiful roads here in New Hope.
And it's meant to be
Gorgeous roads.
enjoyable. And I know.
And it's like, think of it this way, like, how much are you really enjoying if you're going that fast?
Right. I know.
Are you really enjoying what you see? You're not seeing much. I leave the speed for the track.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it's meant to be.
That's what we're trying to promote, is that there's a time and a place.
For
And
everything.
the place, a lot of people, and I will admit, I'm the biggest offender. You know, turning Philadelphia into a racetrack where now I just want to do it on the track, because that's where it's meant to be, and that's where I can really test my skills. You know, anyone can go fast straight, but it's trying to carry your speed and momentum
And
through the turns.
exactly.
That's where you become a fast rider.
Well, and that's the other thing, that there's a lot of people that they just love going fast on a straight, but they're not challenging themselves. That's not really challenging. Is that truly an enjoyment if you're not challenging yourself? I don't know. I just enjoy more of a challenge.
I know firsthand of seeing the guy who thinks he's the greatest rider ever on the street, and that
Those are the
had
first
the mindset
the
he
first
would-
ones that go on the track.
had the mindset he would be just as good on the track, and almost to the point got so embarrassed because the instructors wouldn't let him just go do whatever he wanted to do, and then started saying they were stupid. Like, no, dude, you just don't know how to ride on a track. Just accept that. Just say.
And like I said, there's different ways of riding. You ride differently on the street than you do on the track. Even the way you set up your bike and your suspension is different on the street than it is on the track. Have you ever like lived that experience? Like when you're on the track, your bike is really nice and smooth when you set up your suspension. But once you get to the street, it feels like it's having an epileptic attack.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
like it's crazy. Yeah.
Usually when I do a track day, a lot of my track days are done on Mondays, and I love being out there. It's not as crowded. And then usually towards midday, I'll get in that zone, that flow, where I'm just hitting each point. And that's usually at my fastest point, because I'm not tired yet, and I'm warmed up now. And I just feel that flow and that execution, that over, up. And I'm, like I said, I talk to myself on each turns. I know what gear I'm in. I know, like I'll say, like, stay on, like stay on the throttle,
Right.
stay.
Keep it,
And I'm like, I'm going.
hold it.
And I'm watching that, you know, my breaking point, or where I would let off the throttle to downshift, and I'm just like trying to hit that mark, and then lean, and then look all the way through the turns. And I'm the whole time, I would love to record how much I'm talking to myself.
You know what? I've never thought about that, but I wonder. We talk a lot in our helmets. Let's be honest, especially when you have those oh shit moments.
Yeah.
You know, like when you see something that's about to happen, and you just start talking to yourself in the helmet. You're like, oh my god, stop.
Right? Yeah, for sure. And that's
Those
good.
solo conversations.
I think we're much more aware when we're doing that.
Absolutely. I honestly feel like motorcycle riders see a lot in the future. They see things way before they happen.
Oh God! How do you feel when you're driving your car? Because
Yes.
I'd rather be on my motorcycle sometimes.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
when I'm on my motorcycle, I feel like, you know, my maneuverability, my acceleration, when people do dumb shit.
I feel more in control on the bike than
Right.
I do in my car.
And I think
to be honest.
people who don't ride don't understand that. They're like,
No.
dude, that doesn't make any sense.
And the way you even see the road is different. If you're on a bike, you appreciate things a little bit more as opposed to being in the car. I don't think you really pay attention to what tree is where when you're in a car. Have you ever used like landmarks on the track, like a certain tree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like a certain ripple or a bump? It's crazy.
What other tracks have you ridden? I know you said New York Safety Track.
So my favorite is New York.
Okay.
By far, that's my favorite one. I've done New Jersey. I've done North Carolina.
Okay. Well,
North Carolina is great if you're trying to learn body position. Great for that. It's a flat track. It's the perfect place to learn. I haven't tried Pitt, but I have that on the list for this year.
That looks amazing.
I've heard some great things, and I've also heard great things about Virginia, so I have that one on the list this year too. So I'm looking forward to those. I heard that the Virginia one is like a spa retreat.
Yeah. Now, when you go to these tracks, are you going with the group? Are you going with now? How much do you do with Moto Girl GT? Because she goes to all those different tracks.
Yeah, she does a lot. I haven't been tracking probably for 3 years now because I had to have knee surgery from the last time I tracked.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I've never taken a dive on the bike, but then I take a dive on an electric scooter going down the hill at NIST, you know where the bottom is?
Okay.
I literally had something in my hand and I couldn't hit the brake and just took a dive. My knee just went backwards. It was pretty bad. So that kept me off the bike for 3 years now. So this is finally the year that I'm coming back.
How awesome is that?
Recovered.
So we have you
I'm
on the
fully recovered.
podcast and you're ready to go. And
I know. This is like, oh my God, this must be a sign from God.
Because now that now that I think about it, the couple rides I did with the 1-2s, I know you weren't there.
Yeah.
And then I know before you were always there.
I'm a hardcore rider. But for the past, I want to say 3 years, it's been challenging. I fell off that electric scooter and my knee was just not the same. I took maybe 3 rides after that. And it was just so painful. I honestly didn't even know I had a problem.
Okay.
It took me about 6 months to realize that I had torn my meniscus.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes. So, and to recover from that, it just took forever, but I'm back now. And I didn't know that I needed my knee so much to ride. I never would have realized.
Have you
that.
been doing physical therapy?
Oh,
at all?
absolutely.
Different
Absolutely.
How's the bike? Is the bike all ready to?
The bike
ready to go?
It's almost ready to go. I'm very picky with my fairings, so we just have to put those on. So once that's on, that's it. We're going. Maybe like a half day's work.
Is your bike wrapped? Because I know with the black.
So yes, mine is. Believe it or not, she's actually red underneath.
Okay.
A beautiful golden kind of pearlish red, but it's pink. Red triggers me, believe it or not. The color red triggers me to go fast.
Yeah, right.
It kind of like it accelerates my anxiety. I don't know why. It's the craziest thing. Have you ever paid attention to if you sit inside McDonald's, you see so much red, you eat faster?
Oh wow!
Because of all the red. Pay attention to that when you're eating next time. It actually pushes you to eat faster. It's crazy. But yeah, so I wrapped it into the whole black and pink.
Okay.
But now I have some actual fairings that are black and pink. So we're doing away with the wrap and we're slapping those on, and that's what we're doing.
Awesome, man. That's great.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So now, again, we were just talking about your future and all the things we have coming up. You have anything planned already?
Not yet, but there's a lot that's coming in the works. There's nothing set on stone yet. So I don't want to speak too soon per se, because I don't want to jinx myself. But this year's going to be a very interesting year. I have a lot planned in my head. My goal for this year is to actually reach out to more women than I have in my whole lifetime.
Okay.
Because I've gone through some certain personal life experiences as a woman that I know that there's so many women that are going through it right now.
Okay.
And I want to be that advocate for them, to give them a voice, that let them know, hey, you got help. We're here. Just tap a shoulder.
Yeah.
So I want to do that.
Again, I know with this podcast, it's kind of new to you finding out about the podcast and what I do. People can, and people do, they write in to 215 Moto Unstoppable at gmail.com, and we talk about certain things, whether it be, we've covered everything, even relationship problems and people struggling, and depression's a big one, and
depression, relationship issues. It's hard as a woman, as a mother, for you to step away for 8-10 hours in a day to go, satisfy your needs for getting a quick ride in.
Right.
But you got to think about whoever you left at home as a partner, a spouse, whatever it is. You know, what are they thinking? Do they trust you enough to be gone for that many hours and not have contact with you? Because that's the other thing. You can't use your phone. Like, you're not going to be on your phone.
That's another thing that's great with
you have to have trust.
For sure. And then going to the track, like, again, what we're trying to let people know, the track, it's a family environment.
It is.
You know, because there's other kids there and there's families there, and you can
honestly,
cook out.
I think that the best place to bring your family is to the track. It's kind of like if you ever done camping. You know how camping, it kind of feels like everybody's a friend, even though you don't know everybody. That's exactly what happens at the track. It's like everybody's family. I go to the track and I bring a huge pot. Now it's only me, one individual, and I bring this huge pot, a 3-stove burner, and I start cooking and I feed everyone at the track when I go. I just enjoy that. Like, I literally sit out sessions just to cook and feed people because I enjoy that. It's just like this homey type of feel.
And again, reaching out and getting more women involved and that's what you're doing. That's why it's so exceptional. You're so exceptional because you're setting that example. You're showing other people what is possible, you know. And I would hear a lot of women say, like, oh, I always wanted to ride, but they're still a little nervous about getting into it.
Right.
And then
because
having someone like yourself kind of say, hey, again, like you said about a bike, like you would have started on a smaller bike. These are the things that the women need to hear.
There's so many things that I want to share with other females because I was steered wrong. I sincerely was steered wrong. The reason why I say I was steered wrong is because I can't compare myself to a man. I'm not a man. I'm a woman. So the way that a man rides is not the same way that a woman rides. The way that a woman processes things is not the same way that a man does. So I learned the man way. But then now that I know, I want to share it the female way, so they don't struggle the way that I did, because I had to adapt and change everything from a man world into my world. And that's tough, especially when you're trying to learn.
That's a great example, and you know, putting that out there for people. And that's what's great when, you know, you talking about Moto Girl GT and then what she does for women and women on the track and that whole community and getting more people involved. And again, I know you guys have track days,
right?
And then I know, because you know Kendra, right?
Oh, can I?
Like Titaniums.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh,
Right,
I love them.
Right. So again,
The brother and sister, they are so freaking adorable.
So remember, as you're slowly getting back into it, we already have 2 track days planned up at New York Safety Track.
I'll be back in.
And you know I'll be there.
And again, that's for the Ride Again Foundation. So it's also about, you know, getting survivors back on motorcycles and with the bike experience. And it's open for everyone to come up and partake and share. And it becomes...
And even if you don't want to participate on the track, you can also be a volunteer and help. You know, why not? Pay it forward, make someone's day.
And these...
Help be part of the moment.
And these events, when up there, they're a full party. You camp out. So there's a DJ. Everyone's there. It's not just like party atmosphere. No, it's bring your kids, have them.
Exactly.
Bring their bikes. If they have a little electric Razor scooter.
Oh, they love going up and down you know, where we park all the bikes up the strip. I call it the strip.
Yeah.
They just love going up and down with the bikes, and they make so many friends. Like, I took Nani the one time, and she found another little kid in a little dirt bike, and she started backpacking up and down, up and down. She spent the whole day in that. Everybody just knows everybody. And even if you don't know about someone, you're gonna know someone by the time you leave.
Yeah. So again, you're exceptional examples for women to follow, and I love the fact that you know, you put that out there. You want to get more women involved. You're willing to help and communicate and kind of guide and
Absolutely.
make it fun and enjoyable. And it's just such a positive example. So again, well, on that note, what advice would you give to girls and women who are out there? I mean, let's make it broader now. Instead of we're not just talking about motorcycles now. We're just talking about in general in life. You can almost do anything.
Absolutely.
There's no
sky's the limit.
Right, like don't. Right, like what advice would you give out there to people? I mean,
honestly, everything that happens, it's for a purpose. You just have to spin it and make it work for you in a positive way. I know that myself, I've hit a lot of bumps in the road, but you learn from them, and there's always something positive to take out of it. I for a long time I was dark. I was really dark, and that's the reason why I hopped on the bike to begin with, because I used it as therapy. Everything that I saw, it was in a negative light, and it was just attracting negativity. And it's like everything happens. I'm like, why is everything just happening to me? Everything just happens to me. Everything's just bad for me. Well, I was attracting more bad to happen, but I started to see everything that happened to me in a different light, as in, what am I learning out of this? What is God trying to teach me?
Right.
What is coming for me? Because maybe He's setting me up for something better that's coming along. So I've what I say is, whatever bad happens is because something better is coming along.
And that's kind of making you, and it makes us stronger.
Absolutely.
You know, everything that I've created came from hard times.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It came from hitting rock bottom and saying, I want to change my trajectory. I want to be so much more, and I want to develop something in a positive light. And it's just, again, I love hearing that coming from you. It's just so important to set that example, not just for other women, but for the kids, the future. You know, anything is possible. You can ride a motorcycle if you want. You can race dirt bikes if you want. You can, anything is possible.
If I had one ask from men in general, I'm gonna make a call out. I'm gonna call out every man that's out there in this one. If you ever see a female, give her a helping hand. She needs that muscle. Because let me tell you, my biggest struggle is getting that bike on and off the trainer, the track.
Yeah. Well, again, that should be.
It is torture.
I need help getting everything
and
off.
We are so shy to ask for help. And the reason why we're so shy to ask for help is because we don't want to, intrude into somebody. What if they have a jealous wife or anything like, or it's perceived like you're trying to hit on someone. So if you're willing to help, don't assume that she got it. Just offer her help and do it.
Right. Now, how about, well, that makes me think of something else as well. I mean, how about with when you're approached by guys because you're riding and...
So there's different types of approach. There's a sincere approach, like a sincere rider enthusiast approach. And then there's, I'm trying to get down with you approach. And I mean, yes, a female on a bike is a very sexy thing. I think it's a very sexy thing. But it doesn't mean that that female is looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
No, they're just trying to enjoy a good ride.
For sure.
I myself try to stay away from even dating anyone that's in my network, because I feel like you get shunned in a sense. They start talking about you, and it's not a good look.
Right.
And then they don't see you as a rider anymore. They don't have the respect for you as a rider. They're just treating what do I call chicken head. They're just treating me like a chicken head. And so I'm very cautious of the way that I carry myself around the guys. I'm very, very cautious about that. I'm also very cautious and respectful because I know that they have wives at home, they have girlfriends at home, and you never want to overstep that boundary.
Yeah, it's important, even with the friendships you develop and stuff like that with people, because it's just, like you said, as more and more women are out there riding, and some of the guys just kind of approach you, and
they're trying to pick up somebody, literally. Some of them, 9 times out of 10, they themselves don't even know how to ride, but here they are trying to give you pointers on how to ride. I look at them and I just smile. I think it's the most funniest thing. Like when somebody tries to give me pointers on riding, when they don't know how to ride, I think it's the most hilarious.
It's just
thing
when they're
there is.
assuming again, like
Yes,
everyone's
they
making that
assume
mistake.
because we're a female that we don't know nothing, and I just let them have it. I just think it's hilarious.
That's why, and I will say, we have in this whole area, and with all the different groups, there are so many amazing riders who are women, and they're incredible. And whether it's on the track or it's on the street, it's in the group rides. You know, we do have some exceptional women around here. So if anyone is, like we were saying, you know, talking about all the different groups and how welcoming they are. And yeah, you can be a beginner. You know, we were all beginners at one time.
We all were. And you have to understand that we all have to start somewhere. You know, don't
And that's the fun of it.
don't
Like, that's what
criticize
makes it
someone
fun.
because they're starting. On the other hand, just try to give them a helping hand. You know, try to educate them.
Yeah, I'll say to guys, you know, just come to the track, man. Like, they don't want to lower themselves to that beginner. You know, like when they have the you know, the riders meeting in the morning, and if people are new and they're like, so who here has never ridden on a track?
You
And
know,
you look around and it's like,
you're waiting for somebody to raise
yeah.
their hand.
And it's like,
You know what the funny thing is? If it's females that are there, all of them are going to
Right,
raise their
right,
hand.
exactly. That's-
They have no problem
Again,
with it.
again,
It's an
I'm-
ego thing. It truly is
Yeah.
an ego thing.
I'm gonna put this out there, and people can trash me all they want, but that's why women rule the world, and always will, because we'll just run ourselves off the track into a wall or something like that. So, but I always love that. Like, who's never ridden on a track before? And I'm like, raise your hand, dude.
Like, you know you've never been
What-
here.
And then usually the instructor will be like, we're not talking about riding. I didn't say, you know, who's never ridden before.
Right.
And then once they understand, like, you got to learn the race line, you got to learn the flags, you got to.
Yes,
There's
because
so much.
when you're on the track, you're not. If you don't follow your line, you're screwing up somebody that's behind you.
For sure.
So it's a trust thing. You have to trust that who's behind you is paying attention and doing the right thing as well, and you're doing the right thing because there's somebody behind you. So, like I said, it's all a domino effect.
And it has to.
It's a domino effect.
I've been very fortunate with the Riders Club and all the coaches and the instructors. I know how hard their job can get for them, especially on them busy days like Saturdays and Sundays. I know when I see them on Mondays, they're just so drained and exhausted, but they try so hard to make it as safe as possible.
Right.
And they're trying to keep everyone in line, and especially the people that right away they want to get into it. They don't want to be told they can't pass or they can't. Like,
They
that'll
don't follow
come.
rules,
Like, that'll
basically.
come. Like, you got to earn that. And
I'm
they
one
do
of the
their best.
weird ones that, you know how when you get to like the midday, you get to branch off on your own, and you know the coaches are just, you know, following or whatever. I'm the weird one that I like to stick with the coach the whole day.
That's my favorite.
Like, I get my money's worth at the track. I'm going to there. I'm gonna learn. I literally stick with that coach the whole day, and the best part is when everybody goes to do their own thing.
Right.
I get that coach to myself. It's like having that
Yeah.
one-on-one session.
And that's
just for me.
that's what Mondays become like. Because I think was the 1-on-2s track day on a Monday or something.
I think we've done a few that are during the week. We actually prefer the weekdays ones. We
Yeah,
seldom do the
it's-
weekends. We do the weekends because it's popular demand and people don't want to take off, you know, during the week. But we prefer the weekdays. That's when it's fun.
I went one time. I did a track day on a Sunday, and I'm like, ooh.
It's
I
too
was like-
crowded. It's just
Yeah.
way too crowded.
And-
if when it's that busy, you really don't enjoy the track, to be
No.
honest. When it's that crowded.
And especially with for me, the style of riding I'm doing. Like, I just love riding on the track.
Yeah.
I love doing my best to execute what I need to do
Yeah.
on the turns. And
My thing about the track is, like I said, it's not about the speed. It's more about self-development. I like to learn. I feel like every time I go, I learn something different.
And like you were saying with the instructors, I love when the instructor tells you to follow them, and then you're trying to keep up with them, and then they'll increase their pace.
And you don't even realize how well you're doing by just following. And then you're like, wow, did I really just do that?
And for us, we know that track days are rain or shine.
Oh, yeah.
So-
oh, yeah. Have you been stuck on a
Yeah,
rainy track
on
day?
more than one occasion. And I tell you what, when I'm following the instructor in the rain, and I'm sticking with him, I'm like, wow, like you're learning the capabilities of your bike and your skill level and that confidence level.
The confidence.
But then as soon as, if the instructor says, wants me to go ahead,
it goes down to
then
50%.
he pulls me. Then when we get off the track, he's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "It was easier following you."
I know. It's like you feel like if you need that extra guidance. I agree with you. I'm the same way. I'm going great when I'm behind them, and I literally push myself to the extreme when I'm behind a coach. But once they put me in front of them, forget it. It's like everything I just learned went out the door.
Well, I love that we're able. Again, we talk a lot about riding on the track, and we talk a lot about track days on this podcast, and I'm always trying to get people that if they've never done one, it doesn't matter how old you are, your skill level, even if you have a lower skill level, like you said, it's going to make you a better rider in a safer environment.
Like I said, to the day, I've been riding for years. I still go into that novice group. I still learn something every time. There's something different every single time.
The one, I put together a track day one time, and I tell you what, man, like in the advanced class, the first lap, like 3 guys go off the track.
Wow.
Trash their brand new Ducatis, and it's like, oh, why don't they just... And that's because when you do your own private track day, you don't have instructors.
That's the other
Everybody
thing too.
is being kind of...
Yeah, I've noticed that's becoming a lot more popular too. The whole private track days with the no instructors. Yeah, I don't care.
You
for
can
that.
pay. So if a dealership, you can rent the track for the day, and then you have people pay, and then they'll have the flaggers out there and they'll have the EMTs, but you're responsible for, letting people out on the track.
Right, we've done it.
Yeah.
Like, we've done our private track days.
That is a big responsibility.
But I can't take credit for that. That's all Eric. He does all the flags, the coaching, and all that stuff. I just go and enjoy.
Because then you're taking people by their word, like...
Right.
Yeah, I'm advanced. Like, no, you're not.
Yeah, are you truly advanced?
and then again, you once you see them out there, it's like, hey man, let's just
bump you down.
Because it's got to be safe for everybody.
Absolutely.
So I gotta say, man, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming and hanging out with me. I definitely wanted to get involved in celebrating like the women riders that are out there, and just how extraordinary and exceptional you are. And I think not a lot of people are talking about that, so I wanted to really kind of focus on that.
Well, I appreciate you for thinking of us, to be honest. I don't think that it's very common for women to actually have the opportunity to be embraced, especially in a male-dominated sport. So I appreciate you.
So again, like with 215 Moto, man, it's all about grit, resilience, and freedom, and perseverance, and just keep driving forward and moving forward. And honestly, who better to talk about that than a woman in today, and the way things are growing, and I think it's definitely getting better. I mean, man, you go down to group rides, you go down to the track. I love seeing the community of women when they're together. The bonds are very tight, and it's just a beautiful thing. And I thought, this worked out incredible. Who better to have than have you come on board?
Thanks,
and
I
talk
appreciate
to it.
it.
So I look forward to the upcoming year as well.
Absolutely. You know what? I look forward to you making some female gear.
Yeah. Again, and that's something that as we're growing the brand, and when I present the list of the different categories, it's the same thing. It's like sport jackets, men and women.
Yeah.
And with everything, even cuts on flannels.
It's different.
Because I put it out there of all the items that I want to carry, and you should see how fast those numbers go up.
Good for you.
So again, it's the same with gloves. Gloves are the same thing. I'm trying right now is introducing things I know it's slow, but it's all I can do right now. And I absolutely want
You'll get there.
It's like I want to have.
Even if it's a little step by step, one step at a day, you'll get there.
Because all this stuff is just, it's easy. Like, it just takes time and money.
Right.
And sometimes, like for me and with the brand, 215 Moto, which is 215 Moto riding gear now, is, and sometimes in my head is like, I'm still just trying to sell a t-shirt for $20.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so hopefully what I'm trying to do is, designs can change and looks can change, but the core foundation of the brand, like, that's what I don't want ever to change.
You can never compromise on the quality.
And it's
safety.
for everybody who wants to be more, and to let everyone understand, yeah, you can become more. You can have goals and dreams. You just have to stay focused on them and keep moving forward. And I think, getting to know you a little bit more and hearing a little bit about your backstory, I think you're in a beautiful place right now.
I feel
your smile,
amazing.
Your smile,
I feel amazing.
the energy.
Honestly, I feel like I'm at a peak in my lifetime right now.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It's like I hit my 40s and life just changed.
And who controls that?
Oh, absolutely me.
You do, right? Nobody.
That's right.
That's what's important for.
We're responsible for our own happiness.
Yeah, that's what's important, for the younger generation to understand, and who better to set that example than yourself and your mom. So again, I greatly appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry,
it's been great.
Again, my notes went out the window.
Oh, that's why I said I'm not even going to bother. We'll just go with the flow.
Well, I appreciate it. And again,
it's been fun. It's been so much fun.